fishing news is brought to you by Okuma.
Well, this time next week, folks will be soaking bloodworms on the sod banks, looking for an opening day Jersey striper. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. March 1st, of course, kicks off the Back Bay striper fishery in the state of New Jersey. And of course, where water is warmest is where you want to focus some of your effort and attention. Of course, soft baits. We mentioned bloodworms, bloods, even clams. Sunny days are better, of course, and as the tide is low, as that tide starts to recede, the dark mud along the sod banks soaks up that warmth from the sun and it makes the water around it warmer. That's what gives some of the action to some of those worms that are coming out of the mud, which is what the stripers look for in this early season. Of course, rivers that feed the bay are always a good location to look starting March 1st in New Jersey for some of those early season striped bass. Now, we spoke to the folks at Murphy's Hook House who said that perch fishermen are finding it hard to keep bloodworms away from hungry stripers on the Toms River. So the way it looks right now with some of the perch fishermen stumbling into quite a few stripers, it could be a banner season ahead. David at Absecon Bay Sportsman Center, he's got grass shrimp and bloodworms for some of those perch. He says the action is on the Mullica, the Great Egg Harbor, and of course the Morris Rivers, all likely striped bass hotspots early season as well. And again, there are a lot of different locations where you can find some of these early season stripers, especially where some of that fresh water meets up with the salt. You're going to get an influx of some of those resident stripers who spend their winters up the rivers, and some of those bay stripers, and in terms of some of those early season arrivals as well. Now, here in the New Jersey area, the Fisherman magazine has been burning spots since 1973. And out of respect to some of folks that might be a little bit more sensitive to spot burning, my suggestion would be to go to some of the local tackle shops. Plunk down some cash this spring. It's a wise investment, intel, if you will. And if you stop at some of these tackle shops, get yourself spooled up, get some tackle, look for some bloodworms. I'm sure they'll make some good recommendations on where you can soak a bait next week on March 1st, whether it's winter flounder or striped bass. Salem, Cape May, Atlantic County, Ocean County, Monmouth County, shops are starting to open up. Stop in, see what's going on, and get yourself some intel. Now, I don't mind going off script a little bit. If you want to get a personal recommendation or two, I will be doing a seminar at the Atlantic City Boat Show next week. Of course, that show kicks off on Wednesday, and Wednesday at 1 o'clock, I'll be doing an updated bunker bustin' striper seminar at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Talk a little bit about that early season bite, and if you want to come pick my brain, I don't mind giving a couple of my recommendations. It's not a spot burn if it's between friends. So come on out and see us. Those seminars are being presented by the Recreational Fishing Alliance and the Fisherman magazine. We've got sheep's head on the calendar, striped bass, offshore action with the folks from Canyon Runner, Mojo's, grass shrimp and weakfish, monster tog, deep drop swords, and of course plenty of fluke next week in Atlantic City with the likes of Nick Honicheski and of course Captain Harvey Jenkinson, whose seminar always packs them in there at Atlantic City. So hopefully you can come on out there and join us for those seminars. Now, speaking of fluke, all eyes were a-poppin' on Facebook this week when this fish from Kate Lavelli holding up this doormat that was dragged up at the Hudson Canyon recently, 11.6 pounds. This was photographed and taken over at the Belford Co-op. The quota's assigned, folks. Everybody's got their fluke quota for the year. The commercial guys, they're fishing on their quota. They're allowed to fish now. In New Jersey, of course, we're not allowed to start fishing for our quota until sometime in May. I guess folks in Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia who get to fish year-round for summer flounder, if they wanted to go out to 40 fathoms, they could certainly find them. Again, you can check the news item that I posted this week at thefisherman.com for more information on those upcoming meetings, both Delaware and New Jersey, when we're going to be able to get our fluke regulations set for the coming year. Commercial, recreational, big fluke, small fluke. One of the big questions that comes up every year is, what about slot fish? Well, that's a good question. We hope to get more answers. Thursday, February 22nd. That's when Dr. Jason Morrison from Rutgers University is going to give his findings on a possibility of a slot fish in the fluke fishery for the recreational sector. 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. Shark River Beach and Yacht Club. Should be an informative session. Hopefully I will see you out there. Of course, it's only a matter of time now some duck boats, some skiffs. People are getting their boats in the water now, and only a matter of time between we're getting out on some of that active saltwater fishing. What we do find in doing our reports this week is some of the freshwater fish have become quite active. Some perch, the pickerel, and getting some good reports on largemouth bass. In fact, Mike Sanfilippo, he checked in with me this week, had a 4.8 pound largemouth up in Sussex County. We are finding a lot of open water now. In fact, talking to the folks from Dow's, they said Lake Patcong was not good. And with this beautiful weather we've had this week, I would doubt you're going to find much ice anywhere. But again, open water, looks like some of these fish are in their pre-spawn behavior at this point, which is why I would suggest you pick up the March edition of the Fisherman magazine. It came out this week. I'm real proud of this edition. It's a big one. We've got a great article in there from Bruce Litton. He's got a piece on pre-spawn largemouth bass that includes Steve Vullo's top 9 locations for getting in on some of those lunkers in New Jersey. Ooh, sorry, I guess that was a spot burn. Looks like a bit of rain may be in our forecast for the weekend ahead. Might be a good opportunity for you to go get spooled up, get those rods and reels in place, in repair. Some of the tackle shops have already done their work, but they are loaded with rod and reel repairs, so I would suggest you get that done now. Get yourself all geared up for the spring kickoff, March 1st. That's next Thursday. Don't miss it. We'll be reporting from the Atlantic City Boat Show with our report next week, right here at thefisherman.com.
The Fishing News is brought to you by Okuma.